to approach their parents to talk about these issues. When I was growing up, I was expecting my parents, my dad and my mom to at least talk to me about sex education, but none of them did not pass the information to me. And I had my first sexual encounter when I was 10 by a girl who was 11 years old. After I had my first sexual encounter, it was because my parents did not actually give me that information, because I was waiting for them to give me, and they did not give me the information. So the problem should be, who should initiate such information? Should it be the parents or the children? Because the children may be shy to come and meet their parents to talk to them about the issue of sex. So the parents should be bold enough to at least inform them, to educate them, so they will know that even if you want to do it, you should do it the right way. You should not do it wrongly. Another thing is that while I was in school, in secondary school, we were taught about all these reproductive health and all this grooming and so on and so forth. But it was not comprehensive enough. They did not teach us how to wear a condom, or we were just orally. Teacher was just teaching us orally. Without any, do not dramatize or to carry out maybe a practical with a dummy. Maybe you show the boys and the girls inside you wear the condom, or inside you wear the, are you getting me? So it was just done orally. So we did not really have a comprehensive grasp of what that sexuality education is all about. So I believe that we should look at the area of passing information properly, that will at least take the time of these infections and unwanted pregnancies that the youth often gets. Thank you.
Good morning once again. Before I make my contributions, I am Desi to commend the organizers of this workshop. And I also pray that it will be a regular workshop, not only waiting for International Youth Day. My talk will be centered on the human being complete, because I've heard my co-panelists talking about adolescents and youth. But statistics have shown that some persons who are not adolescents, 3 years old, 4 years old, were raped. They've had sex. Whether we like it or not, no matter the name you call it, whether you call it rape, defilement, or anything, it is sex. So this, when you are talking about adolescents and youth, you are talking of 10 years to about 24 years for United Nations. But for Nigerian government, it's between 10 years and 35 years. We all know that. Now, what happens to those who are done there? But let's look at reproductive health. I want us to look at reproductive health as those things that enables you to develop yourself so that you become a decent and correct human being in society. When we are born, we don't know what happened. Our parents did things that made us to be born. But over time, if you read some books, psychology, sociology, people told us about development of the personality, that there are stages in the development of the personality. So when we want to look at intergenerational relationship, we must look at those things that must happen to you as a human being that will define your relationship. The first thing we have to look at is the family. Our families in Nigeria, let's talk about Nigeria, have abdicated their responsibility. Because it is the role of the family to socialize that child. And it starts from day zero, the day he was born. Psychologists will tell you that stages in the human development are 0 to 3. They call it the anal stage. If you, mothers here will tell you that children of that age, they excrete anyhow. It is the responsibility of the mother to teach the child. You don't just excrete anyhow. The child will pick it from there. Then from 3 to 7 is the oral stage. Anything they see, they put in their mouth. If you, the mother, don't tell the child, not everything you put in your mouth, how will the child know? Tomorrow you carry the child to a party. You use your eye to talk to the child. How will the child know that you are telling him or her not to eat anyhow? You understand? And psychologists have also told us that by the time the child is 12 years old, his personality has been developed. You understand? And it's around that stage you have puberty, onset of sexual maturation. Because we are talking about sex here. But sexual maturation starts somewhere. So if you don't get it right at that stage, how will you not know what to do when you are mature? Don't talk of lust. Anybody can be lustful. 80 years old man going to rape a 3 years old child is because of lust. Let's stop deceiving ourselves now. Witchcraft will take and do one thing. No. It is inability to control your loss. That is what is causing it. And because our fathers and our mothers refuse to do the socialization of the child properly. That is what is leading to it. So people just assume because somebody is 80 years old, he should be experienced, he should be wise. It's not true. 80 years is just a number. It is what goes into you that decides whether you are experienced or not experienced. Whether you have been able to develop self-control. Because all the problems we have in Nigeria today, Boko Haram, Fulani herdsmen, kidnapping, is as a result of not being able to develop self-control. I want to forcefully take something from you. If your parents, when you were growing up, when you are developing your personality, they made you to understand that there should be restraint. In anything you do, there should be restraint. If you want anything, work for it. Don't use force to get it. We won't be having the problems we're having in Nigeria today. So for us to solve that problem, we should go back. To close that gap, we should go back to the family system and reawaken that socialization process. Once we get it right there, every other thing will be okay. Thank you very much.
Talked about as early as 10. Is it the role of the parents? Who is the best to educate a child on sexual issues? Will the child get it from the home? And at what level? Is it a continuous education? What is the role of the school? Because I remember then we used to have guidance and counseling. I don't even know if we still have it anymore in schools.
Director Initiative for Gender Equality and Advancement, two-time past Deputy Coordinator General, Edo Civil Society Organizations. So I'd like to comment on this. The truth is, the education starts from the very beginning. For those of us in the NGO sector where we talk about SGBV all the time, especially the rape and sexual abuse, and we do school sensitizations, you get to see that even 6 years, 5 years old children that can communicate, get to confide and tell you what they are going through. We've had a whole lot. In fact, some years ago, a girlfriend of mine had a baby girl, and I started telling her, tell her what these things are. She'll be like, Annie, because you are in this thing, you like. I said, just tell her. Don't give it one terrible name. Tell her what it is. It's my breast. Nobody should touch your breast. Nobody should touch your bum bum. And she kept on saying that. She now started that, okay, since you are saying it, and she was telling her daughter. In less than 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, she called me. I wasn't even in Benin when she called me. And yeah, one cute person, I was like, what is it? She said, my baby just came home now and said, one guy, because she has a shop, that the guy told her in the shop, she didn't go out, so when the children came back from school, they were in the shop, the husband had to pick them home. He said, one uncle now called me in the shop and was saying I should come, he want to touch my breast. And when she called me, I said, don't kill somebody. I said, but did you see the advantage of what I told you? You were thinking it's because she's young. But the truth is that when you start having this communication with them, they are free to tell you at any point what goes on. Be open about it, because whether you like it or not, it's, yes, we're in a jet age, and the thing with the jet age is that even the very little ones that you think do not know, really do know more than you are saying. And the annoying part of it is, if you do not talk to them, God help us, somebody somewhere will be positioned to tell them what those ones actually think. And children are children, they will always speak, they must speak from someone. So it's not just a work for us as NGO practitioners or civil society activists, it's a job for everyone. It's a job for everyone. And so the communication of this conversation should not just be a one-day conversation, it should be a continuous conversation. Because at some point when we say it's a job for everyone, some of us are trained to communicate these things to the children. Parents too need to be trained to communicate these things to the children. Now, it will surprise you that a whole lot of teachers do not even know what to say. And some of them pass the wrong messages. So it's not just a job for those of us that know what to say. I think maybe we can decide to come up with a constant training of teachers. I don't know, it should be in the curriculum or something, but I think it's becoming an issue, because when you tell the children something, and they get to a school where we know that we have government schools. We also have some secondary private schools that are not, the teachers are just come and teach and I'll pay you 5,000 naira. And the children don't even know, I don't know what they learn from those kind of schools. But the truth is that those kind of teachers will not have anything meaningful on such topics to impact on those children, because those of us who do this all the time, we do constant training, we go for trainings. Some organizations, big organizations, organize trainings, we travel and do 2-3 days trainings and come back, and then someone who has no idea also wants to talk to children about this.
Something to tell you. It's a pleasure to be here on this occasion of this celebration, International Youth Day 2022. I wish to thank the organizer for making it possible, because it has become very pertinent to make youth aware of the need for solidarity if we are to achieve a world that will be peaceful for all of us, no matter how old we are, what country or race. For youth here in Nigeria, let's be particular about us now. We must strive to be disciplined with a vision as to what and how we want our lives to be. No matter the problem and challenges we face today as youth of this country, we must not lose hope. Keep your vision alive, help each other, show love and kindness, and be real. Once again, I thank you all. Have a wonderful time as we celebrate.
Now to the question, who should initiate sexual education? The parents. When should sexual education be initiated? From the very beginning. Now let me start when I use the word the very beginning. How can sexual education be initiated? Exemplarily. Now, when you give birth to children, I want to start with this. A lot of parents do it unconsciously. But I also want us to know that everything that has to do with sexualities, they are hormones responsive. And whatever we do, we are either initiating or building those hormones in children. When you give birth to your child, normally, unconsciously, a lot of us parents start by kissing our children. This mic is not working. I can actually speak without it. We start by kissing our children. And whether we like it or not, that act is already sensitizing and activating a hormone in them. And we think it doesn't matter because we want to play. But the truth of the matter is that is where the cruise is actually germinating. So when you start by kissing your child, the child gets used to the word kiss. And when you start growing, every aunties and uncles that comes also replicate what they see you do by kissing that child. And the child grows into a toddler.
The girl, because I'm just growing up. During break, the girl will call me to the corner and to be touching my private part. And actually, my dad is a pastor, and they don't initiate that topic, sex. They don't just try it at all, and the thing is so painful. And I grew up with that character that I cannot stay close to a girl without touching that girl. So up to the stage that I went to church, and my pastor, I said something about it. God helping me adjust. But before then, I've done many harms to many younger girls. So I think the communication starts from home. Parents should not shy away from it. And I have a daughter that, because of that experience, I started teaching her about sex from zero. And unfortunately for me, she was before 4 years, someone had started doing such thing to her. So she told me that, Mommy, my private part is pain. She would tell me, Mommy, yeah, it's paining me. I said, how come? What happened? He said, somebody touched me. I said, sorry. Then later on, I went to meet the girl and told her, please, this girl, she's your sister, please stop. After the girl stopped, before 4 years, this girl started touching my daughter. So I think parents, we should try and tell them early enough. Call the right name, like she said. Tell them that this is your vagina, me, I use bombo. Say, Mommy, somebody touched my bombo, my bombo is paining me. So I said, do you need job? Do you need something? She said, no, somebody, who is the person? She said that, you know why? Because I've always told her that this is your private part. Nobody is permitted to touch it. So we should try and tell them early enough. They need information. Thank you.
From a very young age, when I was a toddler, my mom told me about like your body and all that. Don't let anybody touch you. And I was actually very aware, and I think my mom's method was a bit abrasive and stuff, because then I got like, okay, I was scared of men because she made me aware of rape and men would do this to you and stuff like that. So like then, as a child, I was not really open to like boys, men touching me and stuff like that. So if I just say my neck and report it to my mom, even my hand, you can't even touch my hands. So that was just the method like I had with my mom. But growing up, like my mom being like, she wasn't shy with this stuff and she would just tell you as it is, this is this stuff, and I had that understanding growing up. So maybe, okay, as becoming a teenager and an adolescent, like puberty setting, and there was just be this divide. She didn't really talk much on it. Even in schools, they'll come and just go, as a good child of God, don't have sex, don't kiss, don't let anybody touch you, that kind of thing. And without really telling you anything about it. It's just that stuff. It was only one time, my chemistry teacher was actually like, I don't know, we're fortunate enough, like just talking about the sexual health, everything, using condoms, all this kind of stuff, even contraceptives and everything. That was the only time I actually had sexual education in secondary school. And okay, because I was very inquisitive, I'll go online and search for things myself. And you learn a lot of stuff. And people really say this, like my generation, the youth of nowadays, they know things, like they're very wise, like we are open to a lot of things. We know everything and too little. We know everything and too little at the same time, because you're like, oh, they're exposed, they know sex. Yeah, if we're talking about sexual positions, they do know it. But do you know how to take care of yourself? You don't know how to take care of yourself. Do you know how to use a condom? You don't even know about contraceptives. Even if you know about it, you are here and you're like abusing postinol, you're taking 8, you take like the same day. You don't really know anything. So like, it's not open, and you go to these healthcare providers, and there's this look they give you, this judgment and everything. So you don't know where to go. Even the nurse at the hospital will even look at you and you just go like, how old are you? Why do you want to know this thing? So that knowledge is actually very, very scarce. You only find a few of them that know it, and I think like I'm fortunate enough to have this information about contraceptives and everything because I'm a medical student. But apart from that, I don't know anything else.
And even the parents also have a lot of work to do. Some parents don't even know anything about these things, and they also implicate their children further. Now, would it be for the Christian or a religious society? How about the issue of you're talking to my child about sex, you know, the sin, the Islamic religion, the Christian religion, and all that? How do we manage all of this and yet give these children the amount of information and education that is needed? We'll just take 2 persons, so please, if you know that you have you know, very serious professional angle.
Parents who stay in one room, you think the children don't see when you and daddy and mommy they are making love and they're asking you questions? By the grace of God, like I said, I don't know anything about your professional, but I had a child at the age of 16. Like I told you, my mother did not tell me anything. And when I found myself in that situation, I told myself my children will never go through it. And when I told them, my senior daughter said, Mommy, thank you for telling us the truth. Because why? I didn't marry the father of my child, and I married their own father. And the senior one came and said, Mommy, Laura is bearing another name, and Daddy is another name. He said, they don't know. They know. And he said, and I told her the truth. I said, I'm sorry, I had a child when I was in secondary school, and this is what happened. I did not know much about sex education, but I called a friend who was a volunteer with us, who was a nurse. We sat down in the sitting room and we told them, these are my children. We told them. In the evening, my daughter called me and said, Mommy, thank you. I will keep myself till my marriage day. And I told her, it's not because you not be sexually active. You have to put it under control. It's a must. It's one of the natural things. I know the beauty is that when they come around, they're asking you questions. You know, I don't have time for you. They will go and look for the one who knows. Who does not. You know, like by the grace of God, I'm sorry, okay, let me admit I'm not a professional. The teaching I gave them, they started teaching their peers in school. Their peers will not go and tell your mother. Your one got pregnant and said, she came home and showed me the bottle. It was alabukun, mixed many things. I said, Mommy, my friend said I should ask you whether this is good enough. I said, no, you will kill the child. If Larry had died, if I had killed him, would he? You know, I shared my experience with him. If you have experience, he's the greatest teacher. Share with them, and they will be happy and hold you in high esteem for life. She probably said, no, tell your friend to have a child at this time is not accepted. In fact, the world will go against her. Her mother will be against her. But keeping the child, she doesn't know the future of the child. I told my children, never ever call yourself the generation of tomorrow. You are the generation for now. We went to meet the mother, and today the girl is back to school. The baby just started school. What are we trying to say? You will save a child. When you don't know enough, you are not ashamed to say it. Call the one that knows and educate this child. I never tell them you are too busy. Always have time for them. I beg us.
Just like a lot of persons have said, as early as now, young people, your adolescents should start hearing about sex education. Everybody has a role to play, not just the parents, not just teachers, even the church, the preachers, the Muslim man also has a role to play. You talk about sexual and reproductive health in your sermon. There was a scenario that happened of a family who their daughter got raped. They were pastors. Because the child got raped and the father is a pastor, they had to hide it. They said, no, I'm a religious leader. Nobody should hear about this rape issue. And the girl ended up committing suicide and she died. So you see, religion and sociocultural norms has a way of affecting this whole thing that we are talking about. Not just the parents, not just the school. We all have a role to play. The society. My mom would always say, one pikin na society na get, and everybody gets one child. So if we keep saying that we are leaving it for the parents, like they say, if a child is bad, na the mama born am, but if he good, na the papa born am. So we have to let go of all of that thought and say we all have a role to play. We have to tackle this whole issue. So there's not really a professional answer I can give to that, but I can say that we can contribute at the beginning, just from the very start, that we can contribute to tackling this issue.
You know, when I first had my education, it was actually sex education, not comprehensive, because the life skills part of it was not added. The angle from which we were taught was inciting fear. That was what it did. Yes, they were always talking about the fact that if you do this, your life will be ruined. If you do, they were like, we were scared. Coupled with the fact that when I was in GS3, a classmate of mine died. Yes, she committed, she had unsafe abortion, which led to her death. And at the time, she was one of the oldest in our class. All those girls we used to like, all these ones, when we heard that story, that was it for me and my friends. We were like, hey, we don't know, we're going to listen to our parents. And on our agenda assembly, which we normally have then on Thursdays, we were like making reference to that situation. We're like, you see, you need to abstain, so you don't. So growing up, we grew up in this society where the channeling of this education was to incite fear. And it's not supposed to be, because children that will do this will do this. So you just have to teach them, tell them this is this and this is that. Whichever one you choose to follow is okay for you. That's like, if you want to abstain, fine. If you want to be sexually active, do it right. So these are this is like the angle we're supposed to follow. And on religious grounds, I'm Muslim. Like we Muslims, I understand that even Christianity, they don't accept this thing, fornication, adultery, but there's this serious frown against it. You cannot, in fact, don't think of it as a Muslim, like you don't dream of having sexual. And I think that's why I grew up in a society where hush-hush was okay, you don't talk about these things, you don't hear people doing these things. You only hear when the person maybe is pregnant, they were unable to conceal, or the person eventually commits abortion, something like that. We don't ever hear of these things. So I grew up in a society where it was okay not to talk about these things. Or if they're talking about these things, the angle from which it comes from was to incite fear. So that was like a major problem at the time. So most people tend to just avoid it totally. But we're not in that kind of generation where people tend to, because there are still people that still go for that to do this. Young children as young as the age of 13, 14, 15, they are actually sexually active today. They are doing this thing. And you hear them from very good homes, religious homes, and they still go, why do they do these things?
Very strict. I don't know that most public schools, they pride themselves as that. The teachers pride themselves as being strict. So I never went to the office of that man for anything, because I was like, if, for example, I came here to school, you are flogging me, how would I come to seek advice from you? So I never went to that man's office because he was very strict. Also, when I entered secondary school, it was also a government school. It was a same-sex school, all boys. I also had this, let's say, college shock, because I saw the way some boys were relating with themselves. the way they will be calling each other in the classroom when she's not around. So I was like, I had no knowledge of what was going on. I was just surprised, I was shocked. And because our guardian and counselor in that school was also strict, a lady, she was also strict, I could not go and also meet her to explain myself or to tell her what I'm experiencing. But one of the guys also tried to also play that kind of funny play with me, but I was quick to rebuke, to rebuff him. Another thing is that our religious institution, when I was doing my service, when it was February 14th during Valentine's Day, they called us for a compulsory relationship talk and advice and everything in the church and attended them. So the pastor advised us on how to build godly relationship, talked about sex education, that we should, they just gave us the normal Christian way of they say we should not have sex. They say we should abstain, that's marriage, that's the real marriage for marriage purpose. But that was also good, but they were not called us for that program. Maybe some of us would have been at maybe somewhere else having sexual relationship, because some people see that Valentine's Day as a day to give out their virginity or something to be, yeah, see that as a gift. So yeah, some people see it as a gift to their partner. And it's not really, it's not true. So that is the mass media. I believe the mass media still have a role to play. Even as a parent, for instance, you can give your child an Android phone. You should also explain how to use that thing positively. If you're not telling them about sexual education, you can download videos on comprehensive sexual education and share to them in your family WhatsApp group. And you can build up interaction through that process. Thank you.
That sex education. A father or a mother that will tell a child, don't let a boy touch you. You are damaging that child. Because every child, male or female, if you come to a time where they will do relationship between the male and the female, what will now happen at that stage? When you have been hammering on the child's, your girl child's ear, don't let a man touch you. Don't sleep on the same bed with a man. If you do, you'll be pregnant. Those are very wrong sex education. In short, those are not even sex education. Like my sister at the back said, we should be open enough to tell our children, if you are a boy, penis is what you have, not that thing. If you are a girl, it's vagina that you have, not that thing. You understand me? That is where we are missing it. We are always shying away from saying the truth. There is so much secrecy in the Nigerian society, and that is what is killing us. Tell your child there is a time, a place, and with whom it is right to have sex. What is the right time? When you are married. Where is the right place? Your matrimonial home. Who is the right person? Your husband or your wife. And help them to build their system. Because when we say sex is something natural. It's not sinful. It's not evil. It's natural. But you must help the child to develop coping skills that will enable them to wait for the time that they will have sex in a proper place. And those coping skills will come from sex education. One, let them know that penis. Because science has proven that a girl child, when it is born, all her reproductive systems are developed. That's why some time ago, a 3-year-old child got pregnant in a country called Uruguay. 3-year-old child got pregnant. A lady told me one of the nurses in Obia Northeast was Obia Southwest. A 9-year-old child got pregnant there. You understand me? That is to tell you that the reproductive system of a girl child is developed from day one. So it's your responsibility as a mother and as a father, because we are always fond of saying mother. The father is the symbol of authority in every house. When you see a child growing up and is misbehaving, know that the father abdicated his responsibility. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. Any small thing, go and meet your mother. Any small thing, go and meet your mother. Is it only women that give birth to children? You understand? Then the next thing, go and meet your teacher. It is not the responsibility of the teacher to socialize your child. It is the responsibility of you, the father, and the mother. You should sit down, have time for your children. Because at the end of the day, you are the one that will still cry, my children are suffering for them, they are not taking care of me. How did you relate with your children? We are talking of intergenerational relationship. How did you relate with your children from day one? Any small thing, go and meet your mother. Then tomorrow you are the one that will still come and shout. And not know what that will not give them, not let their mother be listen to.
In children, like growing up, for me, at some point in my life, I met my mom. I was like, Mommy, how did you give birth to me? Like it's not big, because I'm the first child of my parents, and after then I saw my mom's stomach big. I was like, Mom, what's going on? Why is your stomach so big? How did you give birth to me? All I was hearing was like, God is the one that puts you inside my stomach. And I was like, wow, this is a miracle. Because my parents, they are pastors, so they just got that, yes, make it so religious. So naturally, children are curious, young people are curious. I just feel that children most times, young people most times, they are the one who initiates this conversation. So it is now the responsibility of our parents, the adults, the teachers, wherever you find it, when these children initiate this, they actually want to know. Let's try to give them give us the full information. When you give us this full information without without missing it up, we want to come back to ask. At that point, I was like, my mom was like, Esther, if a guy touch you, like this if a guy touch you, you will get pregnant. Funny enough, I was in primary school then. I went to school. Coming back from school, a guy was looking for my trouble. He fell me, and he felt like I fell down. I was this child that I don't like any this. I wanted to struggle with him, but pushed me, and I fell down. He held my neck. Because he touched me, I was scared. I wasn't even able to go back home to tell my mom that this was what happened in school. Do you know that I started calculating? Personally, because my mom will say that, because that time she told me that after 9 months, after God has puts a child in the stomach, 9 months time, the baby will now come out. I said, wow. So I was depressed at that point in time, because I didn't know. I calculated. I was like, this is the day this guy touched me. Nothing happened. I was calculating first month, second month, third month. I waited. Honestly, this is something that really happened to me. No, it was 9 months. I didn't see. My stomach was not big. And I was like, what really happened? Like, so I was just like, oh, they just told me rubbish. So that is it. Let's give them the win to it.
With those information, and in case we have any challenge, we can reach out to those ones. A lady said even the nurse sometimes who ought to do this family planning, because I'm going to lock them on stage should the child, especially for those who are already sexually active, to still be, but most are not. So how do we assist those ones? What's that? Okay. How do we assist them? So what we want now is a solution. And in coming up with your response, you can help the younger generation so that we can all have done with this section. Then if we have questions, we can now take 2 or 3 and then we're done.